This is Juana Majel-Dixon, who was chair of the Violence Against Women's Task Force, 2006 honoree. So we'll see how far we can get with Juana before she has to dart out of here. And I want to again say, send out my deepest appreciations to all of you here in the room, and especially Amy and all of the staff that have worked so hard to pull this together. It's been a great experience, and I will see you in another year or two. With that, Juana.
Thank you. Mio etam pochuank ponkacham he should tell lavakuyo humutam no shum laviton. I just told you I was a tropical chick from California. I can't resist that. You know. They always think I'm Samoan or something when I'm over there, you know, so. And when I go to Hawaii, they think I'm Hawaiian. I went up in Tahiti, they thought I was from Tahiti. And I was in New Zealand, they thought I was Maori. But they didn't think I was Aborigine when I was in the bush in Australia. But that's where I was heading to, so. No, what I did say to you is that in our traditional manner, I greeted you in the language of my people. The Pawankachan people means Western people. And my clan group, I come from the Maha family, and my language is Mahila, means dove clan, as well as the matriarchy of our system is Hunwutam, which is the bear. So I have the peacemaker and the protector, and then traditional concepts. It's little wonder why I do what I do, eh? You know, so I'm also asked you to acknowledge the strong-hearted women of our nations. Noshum, Shushushalam, Loitam means acknowledging the good of the strong-hearted women of our nations. And I also asked you in my language that the words that I speak be of a clear mind and a clean heart. And I also reminded myself that when I give breath to the words, they no longer belong to me, they belong to the people. I am a traditional appointed leader back many years ago, I guess in the old style of youth groups. You know, I was given a provisional license to drive my mother in daylight hours to tribal gatherings, and she drove home at sunset because I was too little to drive. And I can remember looking through those big steering wheels, you know, and I would sleep in the back of the car, and I would sleep at the meetings, you know, but little did I know, I now have almost 35 years with the National Congress of American Indians. They call me an NCAI baby. I don't know what to think about that. But when the leaders start saying baby to me, you know, I think it's mighty fine. You know, us Indians, you know, we got good humor. And they don't care what shape our Indian women are in, they just love us. You know? I like that about our guys. And I don't care what shape they're in, I just love them. You know, so. Maybe it's just an Indian thing, I don't know. But, or we're small in number, I don't know. But, you know, that's just wonderful about our nations. And I've come to learn so much as a leader. You know, as an appointee, I was 19, and I'm going to be 57, and I think I'm going to have to die in my leadership position, you know, because it's a traditional position. There were 5 of us from our 5 clans, 1 from each clan, and we're waiting for the next 3. 3 of my generation have died, and there are only 2 of us left. So I've been a traditional councilwoman, legislative council predominantly, to the tribe for 28 years, 28 plus years, I guess. But I can't figure out. I stopped doing the math, you know. So I figure at 30, I'll leave it at that. So, and as a result, my role with the tribe has a great longevity. And I'm a professor for 25 years now, going on actually 26 years this month at the university for U.S. policy. I teach U.S. policy and federal Indian law, which is probably why I do some of the things that I do. But I'm here to share with you the impact leadership has had. And I was at the Senate. I wanted to be with you. I have a certain part of me that ached for not being with you for the last couple of days. But I got to witness something that I commend the women of our nations, our community grassroots people who were a part of this whole honoring system. They selected people to speak before the Senate Indian Affairs Committee, and they chose our women. Isn't that great? Isn't that incredible? That is powerful. And these were women who were leaders in the sense of tradition or election, you know, those things that happen. But they had done such grassroots work in that they became the voices of all our nations and of all our women about the violence against Native women. It was not an easy testimony, you know, because we also had to deal with Amnesty in the room, which is a very gentle, big gorilla in the room. But we love them. They're just not of our clan, you know. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. They're good people, but I just think that they got in after we did all the work, and I think you know what that is and what you have taught me in order to even sit at this table with you, that it had to be something, as she so eloquently said, can be done with that particular person left out and be sustainable. And to witness that and to sit behind them as a leader told me, yeah, this worked, you know, and that the Senate heard them. And that was so powerful. And you can get on CNN and, you know, dial it up or however you do it on the internet, you know, and you can see them. You know, Tammy Young from Alaska, Sitka, and Karen Artichoker from Shinglishka, Pine Ridge, I think, Kyle area. Very, very, very powerful speakers. But then what followed that was a series, a barrage of meetings with senators, and then ending that evening with the ending actually the evening with the HASDA and HUD, but just before that we finished with the Senate Indian Affairs staffers. And there are things that have happened, and the leadership in the room who have attended some of our gatherings with NCAI and the consultations that followed, we even created a new blue book, in case you wanted to know what some of the money went towards. As we left you in Sacramento, we got hit very aggressively by the Adam Walsh Act, was the sexual assault registry. And to me, I think that's a very talented, very clever example of your researchers that are out there and people who might get the aha when you see a flag go up. Where was Adam Walsh sitting all those years? It was, what, 20 plus years before John Adams got it's his son that was killed, Adam, who brutally murdered and harmed. Took 20 plus years for that act to follow. But it came right after VAWA, because inside of that we had a national sexual assault registry. And one of the things that we accomplished with the women of our grassroots area and our leadership coming together, you know, I just wish there was a way to capture on film this incredible year since we last saw each other, of the leadership listening to their own people and the people speaking. When we were at this last consultation, they certainly called the woman Mary Beth Buchanan to task, but it was, for me, see, now I'm a California Indian girl, okay? We've always had this standing joke with our Pueblo governors, you know, because we have a lot of female leadership in California, and they don't have a whole lot of female leadership in Pueblo country in the same manner, you know, as elected leaders or that kind of a thing. And so they tease us mercilessly and tell us how we should be in their areas doing these kinds of duties. And we take the ribbing with great heart and great respect. But I have to tell you, the leadership of the Pueblo councils, of the governors in that room that set the precedent of the day, was phenomenal. And they even had, well, there was 4 designees. Nambe had someone, their judge, and San Domingo, and I can't remember all, but they had designated their women in their communities that were doing this grassroots effort. And I knew that was a great deal of respect, but also in recognition of their expertise. That's another transferable, sustainable evolution of the work that was done. And it was humbling and honorable to watch them because it was their nation that we were in. And so setting the tone, to hear those governors speak and then to be so passionate and understanding of what was going on and how hard it is to implement this law within our own nations. But we're going to take that journey together. But one of the most powerful things that came out of there, well, there's going to be a lot of powerful things. So let's just say that everything that we did was powerful, okay? Because, you know, it blows you out of the water. And I'm going to make sure that all of you get this book. And if I'll give it to Amy, who can give me a list of people. Just give me the number and we'll send it to you. But we got, in the midst of Adam Walt, we got our National Sexual Assault Registry funded for $1 million per year for the next 2 years. Now, does that make any sense? You know, and out of the clear blue, now we need to talk to Jim Casey about this, okay? It just so happens that the exact amount that he pulled out of JOM is the money that Adam Walsh has. So, you know, it's a leadership thing. You follow that stuff. But we need to talk to him, and my leaders that are in the room, please make note of that, because he kind of squirms a little when you bring it up. And so in the drum, sorry. But my sister's over there. We know nothing. Oh yeah, Jim Casey. What did I say, Casey? Well, that's probably why. You know, it's just me slipping, okay? Get the right guy, okay? Kaysen, okay? Kaysen. So anyway, we get this book going, and we then get another $500,000 for the next 2 years for the cost of injury study on violence against Native women. That's in the title. We get $1 million for the next 2 years for the national baseline study. And it's not $2 million for the Tribal Sexual Offender Order of Protection Registry. We get $1 million per year for the next 5 years. Because that's $5 million. And so here Adam Walsh is coming up, and then they're making it a competitive application, by the way, for the leadership. They did opt in. But I wanted to tell you, the 3 minutes, does that mean something? So I'm sorry. We just had so much. It's not your fault. But it's you know, we outwhite the white sometimes. Okay, it's not a bad thing, but I understand that, but it doesn't make sense to me right now. And I'll hurry. But one of the things I realized in doing this journey is that I need you to read the book, because then there are the things that we need to follow up with VAWA for the leadership of the community. But I sat in a meeting yesterday following this with the Senate Indian Affairs Committee. And as you know, Dorgan's doing the Omnibus Crime Bill, which is unheard of. This statute has done so many things. And I got this 3 pages, and I let Heather have a look, see Joanne look at it. And it's like, wow, you know, and there's section 1 is outlaw substance abuse authorization to amend to address methamphetamine. They want to amend the Indian Alcohol Substance Abuse Act. That's amazing. The section of Indian Law Enforcement Act, the big one there is the mandated declination reports and data collection. The current law authorized but does not require FBI, BIA, U.S. attorneys to report to the tribes tribal law enforcement when they decline to investigate or prosecute a case. That's amazing. But who's sitting with me when this is being done? These women from the grassroots community to help affect this change. So it's a combination of the leadership in some incredible journey. We've looked at the violence against our women, which we know we will have to look at the fact that it is happening also from our own men. But we went back and asked our elder women, how far back can you go? In different nations we went to, and I can probably get a list of the nations, but the consistent answer, after World War II. So at least we have something to work with, and our men of our nations have something to work with. Because we as strong women support them, they can affect the greatest change amongst their own selves as men. And we're looking at ways to acknowledge this law is about reasserting, re-acknowledging, and increasing tribal authority to protect its women. So it's a powerful law. But we've also been hit by the strongest arms of this nation, that they have come up with the Adam Walsh. We are reauthorizing FIPSA, the Family Violence Protection Service Act. There's great things involved, but we've come together to create this tribal core group that was mirroring now the original core group that helped move VAWA. And they're doing the same with FIPSA. So it's like, when we settle down, something else to happen. So, and then they have Tribal Law Enforcement Arrest Authority, Law Enforcement Information Sharing, Law Enforcement Training, reauthorize required DOJ to appoint tribal prosecutors as special U.S. attorneys to Indian country, Indian Child Protection Act, Tribal Justice Support Act, reauthorize consultation to institutionalize this U.S. tribal liaison. Also, Domestic Violence Pilot Project, establish a pilot project, authorize non-Indians to voluntarily enter into drug courts, tribal drug courts, establish federal crime for violation of tribal court protection orders, reaffirm tribal authority to enforce jurisdiction protection orders, and they're talking about doing it over non-Indians. And as we have talked, my brothers and sisters that are leaders in the room, of the MOUs that we must do with all that intermarrying we did with our relocation and boarding schools, you know, through a few other Westies and Spaniards, and they're okay. But, you know, the stuff we've done, we now have to take some responsibility and authority for. So and then I also have urged our leadership with this work with the women who have influenced me greatly, is that I must enter into a full faith and credit relationship with you, my nation to your nation. And I think that is one of the most powerful things that we have done. We required this great nation of America to do that with us. Then at the least we can do it to each other. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. I have more to say, but I'm going to leave. I really missed a lot out here, but maybe I'll write it down and you can read it. Nice pen. I almost took that pen. I shared a joke with Regina Schofield yesterday because it was her last day yesterday. And they have created several task force, which will be federally mandated, which is the VAWA Task Force, the Adam Walsh Task Force, the DOJ Tribal Leadership Task Force, and SAMHSA is doing a task force, which is coming from this work. But I said to Regina Schofield, okay, now that you're out of DOJ, you don't have to worry about the party line and being bushwhacked later. That if you're in Indian country and you saw Mr. and Mrs. Big Left Hand over there, and they come to you because they're stealing in the tribal store, they're elders. And so you ask them, so, Mr. Big Left Hand, why are you stealing? They just kind of look at you as elders do. Volumes are said, but you don't get to ask much more because they usually have a sign that says, when did you say you were leaving? You know? And he said, all right. Regina, I said, you asked that guy, Mr. Big Left Hand, what did you steal? A can of peaches. How many peaches were in there? 7. Well, Mr. Big Left Hand, you got to do 7 days in the tribal jail. Little hand goes up. Mrs. Big Left Hand is up. And Regina looks at her. I said, no, Regina, pay attention. This is Indian country. Yes, Miss Big Left Hand. He stole a can of peas, too. So I thank you for having me here.